Sigma males, renowned for their independence and self-reliance, often find themselves at odds with societal expectations and interpersonal dynamics. One of the more intriguing aspects of their interactions is the subtle tactics women might use to influence them. While Sigma males pride themselves on their autonomy and resistance to traditional power structures, they are not immune to the more nuanced forms of influence that can disrupt their solitary paths. Women who understand these subtleties can employ psychological and emotional strategies that gently nudge Sigma males in directions they might not initially choose. These tactics are rarely overt and instead rely on sophisticated means such as emotional appeal, strategic flattery, or leveraging shared interests to create a sense of connection. The aim is not to dominate, but to subtly steer Sigma males towards greater involvement or emotional engagement. Despite their apparent detachment, Sigma males can find themselves navigating complex interpersonal landscapes where these understated influences play a significant role. Understanding these subtle strategies reveals much about the delicate balance between independence and influence in the realm of Sigma males. Number 1. Backhanded compliments. Have you ever received a compliment that left you feeling more confused than flattered? For instance, when someone says, "You're smart for someone who doesn't talk much," it might seem like a compliment but actually carries a hidden sting. This tactic, known as a backhanded compliment, is a subtle way of undermining your confidence while appearing polite. It's essentially an insult wrapped in a veneer of praise, designed to leave you second-guessing yourself. The brilliance of this tactic lies in its emotional manipulation. You might find yourself dwelling on whether you were praised or criticized, which is exactly the aim. This confusion can make you more susceptible to seeking validation or changing your behavior to gain approval. For example, when someone comments, "You're so lucky you don't care what people think about your style," it may seem positive at first glance, but it subtly questions your self-worth and suggests a lack of concern for your appearance. The ultimate goal is to create a crack in your self-esteem, making you more malleable and easier to influence, all while disguising the manipulation as a mere compliment. Number 2. Emotional outbursts. Picture this. Everything is going smoothly, and then, out of nowhere, she erupts into a fit of yelling or tears over what seems like a minor issue. This sudden and intense reaction can be jarring, leaving you scrambling to understand what went wrong and how to fix it. These emotional outbursts are less about the actual problem and more about redirecting your attention and priorities. They act as a psychological reset, forcing you to focus solely on her emotional state rather than any other aspect of your life. The unpredictability of these outbursts keeps you on edge, like walking on eggshells, making you more cautious about your behavior to avoid triggering another meltdown. This constant state of alertness can be exhausting and manipulative. Even if the original issue was minor, or even your fault, the scale of her reaction can lead you to question your own actions and seek to appease her, even if it wasn't necessary. Additionally, after the storm passes, the calm that follows might make you overly accommodating, further reinforcing her control. Number 3. Withholding affection. Imagine one day you're receiving all the affection and attention you could ask for, only to find it abruptly withdrawn the next. This sudden shift can leave you feeling bewildered and questioning what might have gone wrong. Withholding affection is a powerful tool for creating uncertainty and manipulation. When someone you care about suddenly pulls back their warmth and attention, it makes you start questioning yourself and your actions. This emotional fluctuation can make you more eager to regain their approval, often leading you to change your behavior to win back their affection. It's a tactic that plays on your innate desire for love and validation. The scarcity of affection makes each instance of warmth seem more valuable, pushing you to work harder to maintain the relationship. For Sigma males, who tend to analyze situations deeply, the sudden drop in affection can trigger intense self-scrutiny. This self-analysis often leads to increased efforts to please, playing into the manipulative strategy of controlling you through emotional scarcity. Number 4. Playing the victim. This tactic involves presenting oneself as a perpetual victim of circumstances, which can initially make you feel sympathetic and protective. She might share stories of how she's always mistreated or how nothing ever seems to go right for her, drawing you into her narrative of suffering. The real manipulation here is in the subtle shift of power. By portraying herself as a victim, she shifts the focus to her needs and problems, gradually making you feel responsible for her happiness. You might find yourself constantly trying to fix things for her, hoping that your efforts will improve her situation and, consequently the relationship. This dynamic keeps you occupied and emotionally invested in solving her problems, often at the expense of your own needs and feelings. When you start to recognize this pattern and attempt to distance yourself, the victim act intensifies, making you feel guilty for not caring enough. This cycle is designed to maintain control over you by leveraging your natural instincts to help and protect, ensuring you remain tied to her emotional demands. Number 5. Creating dependency. This tactic involves subtly creating a sense of dependency by providing consistent support and assistance, such as cooking your favorite meals or handling your errands. Initially, this may seem like genuine care, but it also serves a strategic purpose. By becoming indispensable in your daily life, she gains control over your routines and emotional stability. When she suddenly withdraws this support, you're left struggling to manage on your own, which can create frustration and a desire to regain the comfort and ease she provided. This shift makes you more likely to go out of your way to maintain the relationship, reinforcing her position of power. It's similar to giving a child a treat regularly and then taking it away. The child's desire for the treat increases their willingness to comply. Similarly, your reliance on her creates a dynamic where you're more likely to accommodate her needs and suggestions to restore the balance. This dependency effectively places her in a position of control, using your need for stability as leverage to influence your actions and decisions. Number 6. Emotional manipulation through guilt. Guilt tripping is a subtle form of emotional manipulation that can be incredibly effective. She might make you feel responsible for her emotions or reactions, even when you're not directly at fault. For example, if she accuses you of not caring enough because you forgot a small detail, it can make you feel guilty and question your actions. This tactic often involves making you feel like you've failed in some way, leading to a sense of obligation to make amends. The emotional weight of guilt can cause you to go out of your way to rectify the situation, often at the expense of your own needs and desires. This manipulation keeps you in a state of emotional vulnerability, making you more likely to comply with her demands or change your behavior to avoid future guilt. By continually leveraging guilt, she maintains control over your actions and decisions, ensuring you remain attentive and accommodating to her emotional needs. Number 7. Subtle criticisms masquerading as advice. This manipulation tactic involves disguising criticism as well-meaning advice or suggestions. For example, she might say, "I think you should consider changing your approach," under the guise of helpfulness, when in reality, it's a critique of your current behavior or decisions. These subtle criticisms are meant to undermine your confidence while appearing supportive. The intent is to plant seeds of doubt in your mind, making you question your choices and potentially altering your behavior to align with her suggestions. This tactic is effective because it combines the appearance of caring with the impact of criticism, making it difficult to discern the true intent. Over time, this can erode your self-esteem and autonomy, as you may start to second-guess your own judgment and rely more heavily on her opinions. The key to this manipulation is its insidious nature. By masking criticism as advice, she maintains an appearance of support while subtly steering you in the direction she desires. Number 8. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a psychological manipulation tactic where she makes you doubt your own perceptions, memories, or reality. For instance, she might deny saying something you clearly remember, or claim that you misunderstood her intentions, even when you're certain of them. This tactic creates confusion and self-doubt, leading you to question your sanity or judgment. The underlying goal of gaslighting is to undermine your confidence and control how you perceive situations, making you more reliant on her version of reality. It's a form of mental manipulation that can gradually erode your sense of self and autonomy. By constantly invalidating your perceptions, she maintains a position of power, making it easier to influence your actions and decisions. Over time, gaslighting can have a profound impact on your mental health, as it systematically dismantles your confidence and trust in your own thoughts and feelings. Number 9. Subtle emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail is a tactic that involves using your emotions against you to gain compliance or control. This can manifest as making you feel responsible for their happiness or well-being, often through indirect threats or guilt tripping. For example, she might say, "If you really cared about me, you'd do this for me," subtly implying that your actions or inactions are a measure of your love or commitment. This tactic is powerful because it leverages your emotional investment in the relationship, making you feel obligated to meet her demands to avoid emotional fallout or conflict. The blackmail is often subtle, wrapped in a guise of concern or affection, but its impact is profound. It places you in a position where you are constantly trying to meet her needs and expectations to prevent emotional discomfort or to maintain the relationship. Over time, this can lead to significant stress and an imbalance in the relationship, where your actions are more about appeasing her emotional needs than about genuine mutual support. Number 10. Playing hard to get. Playing hard to get is a tactic used to create intrigue and desire by initially appearing distant or unavailable. This strategy involves being emotionally or physically inaccessible to make you work harder to gain their attention or affection. For instance, she might delay returning your messages or be less responsive when you reach out, making your interactions with her feel more challenging and rewarding. The underlying goal is to increase your investment in the relationship by making you pursue her more fervently. This tactic can make you feel as though you need to prove your worth or demonstrate your commitment to win her favor. By keeping you on your toes and making the pursuit feel more like a challenge, she increases your emotional investment and reliance on her validation. Over time, this dynamic can lead to an unhealthy cycle where you are constantly seeking approval and adjusting your behavior to meet her fluctuating standards, often at the cost of your own emotional well-being. Number 11. Disregarding boundaries. Disregarding boundaries is a tactic where she intentionally ignores or crosses limits you've set, often under the guise of caring or concern. This can include showing up unannounced, pressing you on personal topics you've asked to keep private, or making decisions without consulting you. By violating your boundaries, she tests the limits of your tolerance and subtly shifts the power dynamic in her favor. The impact is twofold. It can lead to feelings of frustration and violation of personal space, while also gradually making you more accepting of her behavior. This tactic exploits your discomfort to reframe your boundaries as negotiable, often pushing you to accommodate her needs and preferences. Over time, this erosion of personal boundaries can lead to a more controlled and manipulated environment where you feel compelled to accept behaviors that once felt unacceptable, further cementing her control over the relationship. Number 12. Using flattery to disarm. Flattery is a powerful tool used to disarm and manipulate by appealing to your ego and self-esteem. She might shower you with praise or compliments that seem genuine, but are often strategically timed to gain your favor or to soften you up before making a request. For example, she might say, "You're so brilliant at everything you do," right before asking for a favor or making a demand. This tactic works by creating a positive emotional association with her requests, making you more inclined to comply because you feel validated and appreciated. The flattery serves as a means to lower your defenses and increase your willingness to accommodate her needs. Over time, this manipulation can lead you to prioritize her desires and requests as you become more focused on maintaining the positive reinforcement she provides. The key here is that the flattery is not just about making you feel good. It's a strategic tool to align your actions with her goals. Number 13. Subtle gaslighting. Subtle gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where she causes you to doubt your own perceptions or memories in a covert manner. For example, she might make small but consistent alterations to facts, deny things she previously said or did, or suggest that you're misremembering events. Unlike more overt forms of gaslighting, subtle gaslighting involves more nuanced and gradual techniques, making it harder to detect. The goal is to create confusion and self-doubt, gradually undermining your confidence in your own reality. By doing this, she maintains control over the narrative and manipulates you into questioning your own judgment. This manipulation can be particularly damaging because it erodes your trust in yourself, making you more reliant on her version of events and less confident in your own decisions and perceptions. Over time, subtle gaslighting can significantly impact your mental health and autonomy as you become increasingly dependent on her for validation and clarity. Number 14. Withholding important information. Withholding important information is a tactic where she deliberately keeps crucial details or decisions from you, creating a situation where you're at a disadvantage or left in the dark. This might involve not sharing plans, decisions, or key facts that affect both of you, leading to confusion or problems that could have been avoided. For instance, if she decides to make a significant financial decision without consulting you, it could lead to disagreements or complications that might have been avoided with open communication. By controlling the flow flow of information, she maintains an upper hand and can steer the relationship dynamics to her advantage. This tactic often results in you feeling frustrated or powerless, as you are left trying to navigate situations with incomplete or misleading information. Over time, this can lead to a sense of mistrust and dependency, where you become more reliant on her for clarity and direction, further reinforcing her control over the relationship. Number 15. Using intimate knowledge for manipulation. Using intimate knowledge for manipulation involves leveraging personal information or vulnerabilities you've shared to influence or control your behavior. She might bring up sensitive topics or use details from your past to guilt-trip you or steer conversations in a direction that benefits her. For example, if you've shared a personal struggle or insecurity, she might use that information to make you feel inadequate or to pressure you into complying with her wishes. This tactic exploits your trust and emotional openness, turning it into a tool for manipulation. By invoking personal details, she can create a powerful emotional impact, making you feel obliged to meet her needs or correct perceived shortcomings. Over time, this manipulation can erode your sense of security and autonomy, as you become more aware of how your personal vulnerabilities are being used against you, making you more likely to conform to her expectations to avoid emotional discomfort. Number 16. Underhanded comparisons. Underhanded comparisons involve subtly comparing you to others in a way that diminishes your self-esteem or manipulates your behavior. This tactic might look like her saying, "I wish you were as thoughtful as my friend's boyfriend," or "It's nice how you try." Even if it's not like how my ex used to do it, these comments might seem like innocent observations, but their purpose is to plant seeds of self-doubt and make you feel inadequate. By making these comparisons, she creates a benchmark that is difficult to meet, subtly pushing you to change your behavior or work harder to gain her approval. This strategy works by leveraging your insecurities and amplifying your desire to prove yourself. Over time, you may find yourself constantly striving to meet her implied standards, often at the expense of your own comfort or desires. The brilliance of this tactic lies in its ability to undermine your confidence while masking itself as casual commentary or feedback. Number 17. Triggering insecurity. Triggering insecurity is a tactic where she intentionally brings up or exploits your vulnerabilities to influence your behavior or decisions. This could involve pointing out personal flaws, reminding you of past mistakes, or making you feel insecure about aspects of your life or relationship. For instance, she might say, "I'm just worried you're not ambitious enough," or "Remember when you didn't handle that situation well." These remarks are designed to make you question your self-worth or capabilities, pushing you to seek her validation or approval to alleviate your insecurities. The effect is that you become more malleable, adjusting your actions or decisions to align with her expectations in an effort to counteract the insecurity she has stirred. Over time, this tactic can lead to a dynamic where you are constantly seeking to prove yourself and earn her approval, often at the cost of your own self-confidence and independence. Number 18. Creating a sense of urgency. Creating a sense of urgency is a manipulation tactic where she instills a feeling of immediate necessity to influence your decisions or actions. This might involve saying things like, "We need to decide on this now," or "We'll miss out," or "This opportunity won't last long." By pressing for quick decisions or actions, she creates a pressure cooker environment that limits your ability to think through choices carefully. The urgency can make you feel like you need to act fast to avoid missing out or facing negative consequences, often leading to hasty decisions that favor her interests. This tactic exploits your natural tendency to respond to urgent situations by prioritizing immediate concerns over long-term considerations. Over time, you may find yourself more frequently making decisions based on her timeline and needs rather than your own, allowing her to steer the relationship and its dynamics to her advantage. Number 19. Selective attention. Selective attention is a tactic where she gives you attention or affection only when it serves her purpose or when she wants something from you. For example, she might shower you with praise and affection when she wants to make a request, but become distant or indifferent when you're not in a position to fulfill her needs. This inconsistent behavior creates a pattern where you are motivated to earn her attention and approval, often leading you to adjust your behavior to meet her fluctuating demands. The unpredictability of when and why you receive positive reinforcement can make you more eager to please her and more accommodating of her requests. Over time, this tactic can result in a dynamic where you are constantly seeking her validation and trying to avoid her withdrawal, reinforcing her control over the relationship and making you more susceptible to her influence. Number 20. Setting unrealistic standards. Setting unrealistic standards involves establishing expectations that are difficult or impossible to meet, then using your failure to achieve them as a means of manipulation. She might set high or ambiguous standards for how you should behave, perform, or respond, and then criticize or express disappointment when you don't meet these expectations. For instance, she could say, "I need someone who's always available and never lets me down," or "You should always know exactly what I need without me having to say it." These standards create a constant pressure to measure up, often leading you to feel like you're never good enough or that you're always falling short. The tactic is effective because it makes you strive harder to meet these often unattainable expectations, shifting your focus from mutual satisfaction to an endless pursuit of approval. Over time, this can lead to a relationship where you are constantly adjusting your behavior to meet her unrealistic demands, often compromising your own needs and well-being in the process. Thank you for your attention. You can now become a member of the channel by clicking the join button under this video.